The Amazon rainforest is a world of its own. It's a place of incredible beauty, but also immense danger. Every rustle in the leaves, every shadow that moves, could be your last. Survival here is about instinct, it's about respect for the raw power of nature, and in this vast green labyrinth, one creature has become the ultimate symbol of that power. The giant anaconda. This isn't just a snake, it's a legend whispered on the wind, a story told by flickering firelight. It's a primordial fear that slithers through the darkest corners of the human mind. The anaconda is the Amazon's apex predator, a true titan of the jungle. Local tribes have known about these snakes for centuries. They don't just see a reptile, they see a god, a demon, a spirit of the water itself. These stories are not for entertainment. They are warnings. They teach respect. They teach you where not to go, what not to do. The river is the lifeblood of the jungle, but it's also the anaconda's kingdom. To venture into its domain is to put your life on the line. You have to be prepared. You have to be aware. One mistake, one moment of carelessness, and the jungle will claim you. The anaconda is the silent executioner, waiting for that mistake. The sheer size of these creatures is hard to comprehend. We're not talking about your average garden snake. We're talking about a beast that can grow to incredible lengths, thicker than a man's thigh. Its skin is a mosaic of greens and blacks, the perfect camouflage for the murky waters and dense undergrowth it calls home. It moves with a silent, deadly grace that defies its massive size. It is a masterpiece of evolution, a killing machine perfected over millions of years. When you're out here, you feel its presence even when you can't see it. The air gets heavy, the jungle goes quiet. That's when the fear really sets in. My time in the wild has taught me one crucial lesson. Never underestimate your environment. And in the Amazon, the giant anaconda is a key part of that environment. It's not evil. It's not a monster in the way we think of monsters. It is a survivor. It is a hunter. It is doing what it was born to do in one of the toughest places on earth. Understanding the legend of the anaconda is about understanding the jungle itself. It's about facing a primal fear and learning how to live alongside a force of nature that can crush you without a second thought. This is survival at its most basic level. Deep in the heart of the Amazon, ancient tribes have passed down stories for generations. These are not just simple tales. They are the foundation of their culture, their beliefs, their survival guide. Central to many of these myths is the giant anaconda, known as the Yakumama, or Mother of the Water. They believed these colossal snakes were not just animals, but powerful spirits that created and controlled the rivers and lakes. They were the original rulers of this watery world, beings of immense power and authority. The anaconda was seen as a guardian, a creator, and a destroyer, all in one. According to these legends, the Yakumama carved the winding paths of the Amazon River with its massive body. It was said that whirlpools were created when the great snake thrashed its tail, and floods were caused by its anger. The tribes believed the anaconda had the power to command the weather, to bring rain, or to cause droughts. They would make offerings to the snake, hoping to appease it and ensure safe passage on the water. To disrespect the river was to disrespect the anaconda, and that was a mistake no one wanted to make. It was a relationship built on a profound mix of fear and reverence. These myths often describe the anaconda as more than just a physical being. It was a gateway to the spirit world. Shamans would try to connect with the snake's spirit to gain wisdom and power. They believed the anaconda held the secrets of life and death. The snake's ability to shed its skin was seen as a symbol of rebirth and transformation. It represented the endless cycle of the jungle. To see a giant anaconda was a powerful omen, a sign that the spirits were watching. For the ancient people of the Amazon, the snake was woven into the very fabric of their existence. Living by the river meant living by the anaconda's rules. The legends served as practical lessons for survival. They taught children which areas of the river were dangerous, where the great snakes were known to hunt. The stories described the snake's immense strength, its ability to pull a canoe and its occupants underwater in an instant. These were not just bedtime stories, they were life-saving instructions. The myth of the River King was a constant reminder that in the Amazon, man is not at the top of the food chain. There are older, more powerful forces at play here. The fear of the anaconda isn't just based on myth. It's grounded in cold, hard reality. This snake is one of the most efficient hunters on the planet. It doesn't need venom. It doesn't need speed over open ground. It has something far more terrifying, pure, constricting power. The anaconda is an ambush predator. It spends most of its time in the water or hiding in the dense vegetation along the riverbanks. It can wait for days, even weeks, for the right moment. It is the definition of patience. Its dark, patterned skin makes it nearly invisible in the murky water and dappled sunlight of the jungle floor. When its prey comes to the water's edge to drink, the anaconda strikes. It happens in a flash. One moment, there is silence. The next, there is a violent explosion of water. The snake lunges, its powerful jaws clamping down on the unsuspecting animal. The teeth are not for chewing. They are for holding on. They are curved backwards, making it almost impossible for prey to escape their grip. Once it has a firm hold, the real work begins. The anaconda is a constrictor. It coils its massive body around its victim, and with every breath the animal takes, the snake squeezes tighter. It's a slow, methodical, and incredibly powerful way to hunt. The force of an anaconda's constriction is immense. It can crush the bones of a large animal like a caiman or a capybara. The pressure is so great that it stops the flow of blood to the brain and heart, causing a rapid death. After the hunt, the snake faces another incredible challenge, swallowing its meal whole. Its jaw can unhinge, allowing it to consume prey much larger than its own head. It's a slow process that can take hours. After such a large meal, an anaconda might not need to eat again for months. It will find a quiet place to rest and digest, becoming vulnerable itself for a short time. This incredible hunting ability is why the local people have such a deep-rooted fear of the snake. They know that what it can do to a wild pig or a deer, it can also do to a human. Stories abound of fishermen disappearing from their canoes, of children who wandered too close to the water's edge. While attacks on humans are rare, they are not unheard of. The anaconda doesn't hunt humans for sport, but if a person is in the wrong place at the wrong time, the snake will see them as just another potential meal. It is this primal possibility that makes the anaconda a true terror of the jungle. For centuries, the Amazon's deepest secrets were safe, protected by a wall of impenetrable green. But the modern world eventually came knocking. Explorers, scientists, and fortune seekers began to push into the jungle's interior. They were driven by curiosity and the promise of discovery. They searched for lost cities, new species, and untold riches. Among the many legends that drew them in, one stood out: the tale of the blood orchid. This was no ordinary flower. It was said to be a medical miracle, a plant that held the key to eternal youth and the cure for deadly diseases. The blood orchid, according to the stories, was a biological fountain of youth. It was believed to produce a chemical compound that could regenerate cells and dramatically extend life. For pharmaceutical companies and ambitious scientists, this was the ultimate prize. The potential for wealth and fame was enormous. Expeditions were funded, teams of experts were assembled, and they set off into the heart of darkness. They were equipped with the latest technology, but they were not prepared for the true challenges of the Amazon. They believed they could conquer the jungle, but the jungle had other ideas. The legend said the blood orchid only bloomed once every 7 years, and only in a very specific, remote location. Finding it would be like finding a needle in a haystack the size of a continent. The explorers had to navigate treacherous rivers, cut their way through dense vegetation, and survive encounters with the jungle's many dangers. They faced disease, starvation, and the constant threat of getting lost. The jungle tests you. It pushes you to your physical and mental limits. Every day is a struggle for survival. But the lure of the blood orchid was too strong to resist. These explorers were not just chasing a flower, they were chasing a dream. They were a new kind of intruder in this ancient land. While the native tribes understood the balance of the jungle, these outsiders saw it as a resource to be exploited. They hacked their way through the wilderness, unaware of the delicate ecosystem they were disturbing. They were trespassing in a world that had its own rules, its own guardians, and they were heading directly into the heart of the Anaconda's territory, drawn by a flower that was about to change the rules of the game forever. The explorers who searched for the blood orchid believed it was a gift. They were wrong. It was a curse. The unique chemical compounds in the flower that promised longer life had an unintended side effect. These chemicals were a powerful growth accelerant. They didn't just affect humans, they affected everything in the local food chain. The animals that ate the plants and the predators that ate those animals were all exposed. And in the heart of the jungle, at the top of that food chain, was the anaconda. The snakes had been consuming animals that fed on the orchid for generations. The result was terrifying. The anacondas in the region of the blood orchid grew to unnatural sizes. They became bigger, faster, and stronger than any anaconda ever seen before. The flower's chemicals supercharged their metabolism. Instead of eating one large meal and resting for months, they became perpetually hungry. They needed to hunt constantly to fuel their rapid growth. They became more aggressive, more territorial. The ancient balance of the jungle was broken. A new breed of serpent was born, a true monster created by the very miracle the explorers were seeking. When the scientific expeditions finally reached the remote location of the blood orchid, they found a living nightmare. The snakes they encountered were giants, creatures straight out of a horror story. These were not the slow, patient hunters of legend. These were relentless killing machines. The explorers' boats were overturned. Their camps were attacked. They quickly realized they were no longer the ones doing the hunting. They were the prey. The jungle had turned against them, and its ultimate weapon was the giant anaconda, now more formidable than ever before. This twisted turn of events is a powerful lesson. Nature has a delicate balance. When we try to interfere, to take something for ourselves without understanding the consequences, the results can be catastrophic. The search for the blood orchid was driven by human greed and arrogance. The explorers thought they could control nature, but instead, they unleashed a monster. The flower that promised eternal life brought only death. It transformed the anaconda from a natural predator into a legendary beast, a symbol of nature's terrifying response to human meddling. The moment the explorers found the blood orchid, their mission changed. The dream of fame and fortune evaporated, replaced by a single, primal instinct: survival. They were trapped deep in hostile territory, miles from civilization, with a new and terrifying predator on their trail. The jungle, which had been an obstacle, now became a prison. The rivers they had used for travel were now no-go zones, the domains of the giant, hyper-aggressive anacondas. Every splash, every ripple in the water sent a jolt of fear through the group. They were completely out of their element. The snakes were relentless. Fueled by the orchid's chemicals, their hunger was insatiable. They began to hunt the humans with a terrifying intelligence. They learned the explorers' routines, their paths, their moments of weakness. The anacondas would stalk them from the water, their massive bodies hidden just beneath the surface. They would drop from the trees above, using gravity to add to their already immense power. The explorers had to be on high alert 24/7. Sleep was a luxury they could not afford. The psychological pressure was immense. The jungle was no longer just a place, it was an active enemy. The struggle became a brutal battle of wits and endurance, man versus serpent. The explorers had to use their knowledge and ingenuity to stay alive. They set traps, they built fortifications. They learned to read the signs of the jungle, to listen for the unnatural silence that meant a predator was near. It was a desperate fight. They were scientists and academics, not soldiers. But survival forces you to become what you need to be. They had to become warriors, fighting for every extra hour of life against a creature that was bigger, stronger, and perfectly at home in this green hell. This terrifying conflict was the ultimate test. It stripped away everything that made them civilized and left only the raw will to live. They learned the hard way that in the Amazon, technology and education mean very little. What matters is courage, teamwork, and a deep respect for the power of your opponent. The stories that emerged from these encounters were harrowing. They spoke of incredible bravery and devastating loss. The explorers who went searching for a miracle found a monster, and in their fight for survival, they cemented the legend of the giant anaconda as the jungle's most fearsome guardian. Surviving in the Amazon is not just about avoiding snakes. The jungle itself is trying to kill you in 1,000 different ways. For the trapped explorers, the giant anacondas were the main threat, but they were far from the only one. The environment itself was a relentless enemy. The heat and humidity are suffocating. They sap your strength, dehydrate you, and make every movement a struggle. Sweat doesn't cool you down. It just soaks your clothes and invites infection. Every cut or scratch can quickly turn septic in this environment, if not treated properly. And then there are the other creatures. The jungle is teeming with life, and much of it is dangerous. There are jaguars, the silent stalkers of the forest floor. There are caimans, cousins of the crocodile, lurking in the same waters as the anacondas. But the biggest dangers often come in the smallest packages. Bullet ants with a sting that feels like being shot. Poison dart frogs whose skin contains a toxin that can kill a grown man. Spiders, scorpions, and a million different insects, many of them carrying diseases like malaria and dengue fever. The explorers were under constant assault from all sides. Food and water, the basic necessities of life, become major challenges. Finding clean water is difficult. The rivers are full of parasites and bacteria that can cause debilitating illnesses. You have to know how to find it, how to filter it, or how to boil it. Finding food is another daily battle. You need to know which plants are edible and which are poisonous. A simple mistake can be your last. Hunting requires skill, energy, and luck. For the explorers, every calorie burned had to be carefully considered. Starvation was a constant, gnawing threat that weakened them and made them more vulnerable to the anacondas. The mental toll is just as severe as the physical one. The jungle is a disorienting place. The dense canopy blocks out the sun, making it hard to tell the time of day or the direction you are heading. The constant noise of insects and animals can be maddening, but an even greater fear is when the noise stops. That's when you know a predator is near. The feeling of being constantly watched, of being hunted, wears you down. Hope is a fragile thing in a place like this. The jungle's deadly embrace is not just about the creatures, it's about the crushing weight of the environment itself. The terrifying stories of the survivors who escaped the Amazon did not stay hidden in the jungle. They spread like wildfire. Newspapers and magazines published sensational accounts of their ordeal. They described the monstrous snakes, the mysterious blood orchid, and the desperate fight for survival. The public was captivated. The world had always been fascinated by tales of adventure and discovery, but this was something new. This was a horror story, a real-life monster movie. The giant anaconda was no longer just a local legend, it was becoming a global phenomenon. The story was perfect for Hollywood. It had all the right ingredients: a remote, exotic location, a team of brave explorers, a quest for a miracle cure, and a terrifying monster. It wasn't long before filmmakers brought the legend to the big screen. The movie Anaconda and its sequels turned the snake into a household name. Of course, Hollywood took liberties. The snakes in the movies were even bigger, faster, and more intelligent than the legends described. They could roar, they could hunt for revenge, and they could swallow a person whole and still be ready for dessert. These films had a massive impact on how the world saw the anaconda. For millions of people, their first introduction to this incredible creature was as a movie monster. The films amplified the fear and the mystery surrounding the snake. They cemented the anaconda's reputation as the ultimate predator, a slithering embodiment of nature's wrath. While scientists and conservationists might cringe at the inaccuracies, there's no denying the power of these movies. They took a regional myth and broadcast it to every corner of the globe, making the anaconda an icon of horror. The legend of the giant anaconda, supercharged by the blood orchid and broadcast by Hollywood, has taken on a life of its own. It's a modern myth, a blend of ancient folklore, scientific speculation, and cinematic fantasy. It has inspired countless books, documentaries, and video games. The anaconda has become more than just a snake. It is a brand. It represents the untamed, the unknown, and the primal fear of being eaten by something bigger than you. The stories of the explorers and their deadly encounter ensured that the anaconda would be feared and remembered forever. In the end, the anaconda is more than just a snake, and its story is more than just a legend. It is a powerful symbol. It represents the untamed wild, the raw, uncontrollable power of nature. In a world where humans have tried to control and dominate everything, the anaconda is a humbling reminder that there are still places where we are not in charge. It embodies the mystery and danger of the world's last great wilderness. The Amazon rainforest is the planet's lung, a place of incredible biodiversity, and the anaconda is its undisputed king. The fear the anaconda inspires is primal. It's a deep-seated fear that connects us to our earliest ancestors, who also had to survive in a world full of predators. The fear of being constricted, of being swallowed whole, taps into our most basic survival instincts. This is why the legend has such enduring power. It's not just about a big snake, it's about our own vulnerability in the face of nature. The anaconda forces us to confront the fact that we are not always at the top of the food chain. It teaches a lesson in humility, a lesson that is more important now than ever before. The story of the blood orchid and the mutated snakes serves as a cautionary tale. It warns us of the dangers of greed and of meddling with forces we do not understand. Nature has a delicate balance, and when we disrupt it for our own selfish gain, the consequences can be monstrous. The legend shows what happens when respect is replaced by exploitation. The anaconda, in this context, becomes a guardian, an enforcer of nature's laws. It is the jungle's immune system fighting back against the infection of human arrogance. Ultimately, the giant anaconda remains shrouded in mystery. It lives in the deepest, most inaccessible parts of the rainforest, a place that still holds many secrets. It is both a real animal and a creature of myth, a symbol of fear and a symbol of survival. It challenges us to explore, to discover, but also to respect the boundaries of the natural world. The whisper of its name will continue to echo through the jungle, a permanent reminder that the wild is powerful, beautiful, and terrifying. It's a world you enter at your own risk. You have to be prepared. You have to be ready. That is the ultimate lesson of the anaconda.